Hey everyone, it's Yajin here, and today I'm going to go through a step-by-step guide to help you start seeing results in your own weight loss journey. And we're basically going to break it down from beginning to end, every little thing that you're going to have to do. And this is going to go over kind of like those mid-level, high-level strategies that you can implement into your own weight loss journey. So regardless if you're at the beginning, just getting started, or somewhere in between, this is something that's going to really help you out. We're basically going to paint that picture, give you that blueprint or that map to guide you towards the right direction, okay? And just one thing before we get started here, I want to kind of reframe your mindset or your perspective, because this is something that people end up I guess not seeing correctly, and it ends up leading to a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety when it comes to weight loss. And I've been speaking with hundreds of people in the past couple of days, and a lot of them are getting super stressed out because they don't have the right perspective in place right now. So understand that when it comes to weight loss, for most of the time, if you're trying to lose 50 plus pounds, 100 plus pounds, that weight didn't come on overnight, right? It took time to put that weight on, and it will take time in order to get that weight off. And even when we get you to the end of the journey right here, and basically your routine is like on point, everything's looking good, it still takes time in order for you to shed all those pounds. So if you get stuck in a rut, it's like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, you're not seeing much results. Don't let yourself give up because of that short-term, issue. It's just a little roadblock. If you're going 4 to 8 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks, and you're not seeing any results, at that point it's time to change up the program, change up the routine a little bit there. But if you're just struggling for 2 to 4 weeks, you got to have that long-term perspective and understand that, hey, it might not be working now. I'm going to push through it a little bit, stick to the plan. And if we need to change it up a little bit, give it a couple more weeks. If nothing's changing at that point, switch up the plan and keep moving forward, right? You shouldn't change up the fact that you want to lose weight, you want to keep that weight off long term, you want to be healthy. Health is a long-term goal, right? So don't let short-term obstacles or challenges derail you or throw you off track to attaining those goals. So in that case, let's break it down. Let's get started and give you those step-by-step strategies and scenarios in order to help you lose weight and keep it off, okay? So basically on this column over here, we're starting out at level 0. This is basically, you not doing anything that is positively contributing to a healthy lifestyle or a type of lifestyle where you're actually going to be seeing weight loss results, right? So when it comes to fitness, that's almost no activity, right? You live a relatively sedentary lifestyle. You're probably not working out, doing any sort of exercise or sports or activities. When it comes to nutrition, you probably don't have a plan or strategy in place. Your diet is not particularly good at this point, and you probably are eating a lot of things that aren't contributing to weight loss again. And when it comes to your lifestyle, you're probably feeling a little high stress, whether this is because of the weight loss itself, because of other factors like, work, relationships, your life in general. That's kind of where people usually start out. And that's okay, because we got to start somewhere, right? And now I'm going to introduce you to the flip side. Let's say you're in the perfect shape to, when it comes to fitness, you're doing great, nutrition, you're doing great, lifestyle, you're doing great. You're like 100% on track to losing that weight. What would that look like on the flip side, right? So that would be over here. Basically what it would look like is you're getting 30 to 60 minutes of physical activity every single day, with 3 to 5 of those days, or workouts if you want to call them that, being strength training workouts. This could be lifting weights. There's a lot of different activities that can be considered strength training. This could be inside a gym, it could be outside of gym, but usually this would include lifting something heavy, okay? And the rest of those days being cardio or alternative activities. This could be a lot of sports, which is something that I promote. We're going to talk a little more about that later. Just give yourself like a fun way or fun activity in order to help keep you engaged and active, right? And when it comes to nutrition, you're going to have roughly an 85 to 90% adherence to this plan or this framework right here. When it goes person to person, there might be a couple of variations, but generally this is what it's going to look like. And this is basically what the government's nutrition guidelines are too. No processed foods, right? No added sugars. At least 50% plus of fruits or vegetables per meal, okay? And then a lot of high fiber carbs, not too many low fiber carbs, or at least within that 85 to 90% range there. And then when you're eating animal proteins, we're going to stick to lean sources of proteins. There's a couple exclusions when it comes to that. If you're getting your proteins from like a good source, a lot of grass-fed, grass-finished products, wild-caught seafood are great sources of healthy fats for our body. However, we're not going to dive too much into different types of fat in this video. So how these guidelines work is basically, I would use these guidelines to check off each meal that you have throughout the day, whether it's your snacks, your breakfast, lunch, dinner, or any meals in between there. At least 85 to 90% of those meals should be following this set of guidelines. And why did I go with 85 to 90%? Because this gives you enough room, that 10 to 15%, where you still can go out there and enjoy the things you like. Maybe you want a chocolate bar. Maybe you want, to grab some snacks at the movie theater or when you go out, and that's okay. However, for the majority of the time, we're sticking to this plan, and you will start seeing results as a result of that, right? And I think this also goes a little into the fact that when you're looking at nutrition when it comes to weight loss, it's the quality of food that you're eating. Okay, this highlights a lot of that quality aspect of it, but it's also the quantity, right? We've probably all heard that equation of kind of you have calories in versus calories out, and that difference is going to be the determinant of whether or not you're either gaining weight or you're losing weight, right? However, if you were to follow these guidelines pretty strictly, cut out those processed foods and added sugars, eat a lot of vegetables and high fiber carbs, lean proteins, it's not easy to overeat when you're consuming a lot of vegetables, a lot of fiber, and a lot of lean proteins. Those things are very filling. So that kind of solves the quantity issue while you're at it versus, if we were eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of added sugars, it's super easy to eat processed foods and go way overboard on the number of calories that we're consuming. It's no problem. Like you could easily have a 2,000 to 4,000 calorie meal. You might feel pretty full, but you could do it. Try to eat 2,000 calories of like vegetables, high fiber carbs, and lean proteins. You would probably throw up before you even get close to that point, unless you're like The Rock. Excuse me. Anyways, and for lifestyle, ideally we're getting 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep every single night there. We're well hydrated. Okay, what that's gonna look like, it depends person to person, and if you're doing a lot of physical activities, that number varies as well. If you're sweating a lot, hot weather, dry weather, these things change. But a general rule of thumb is to take your body weight in pounds, half of that, so let's say you weigh 150 pounds, half of that would be 75. Take that number in ounces, so 75 ounces of water per day. That's just a little over 2 liters of water, okay? Staying well hydrated. And another aspect of hydration, while I'm at this, for me, I had actually the other issue of drinking too much water, which ended up losing electrolytes from my body. So I have to use electrolytes in order to kind of replenish myself when I notice that I'm drinking a little too much water throughout the day. So that's just kind of an extra highlight for you there when it comes to hydration. And then finally, low stress. Low stress is something that is super important because when it comes to lifestyle, high stress situations or a high stress lifestyle can easily derail every other thing that you're doing on this board. So if you're feeling extremely stressed throughout the day, throughout the week, just in general, that's usually something that you would want to tackle first, whether it's in your relationships, in your work life, whatever it is, before you move on to fitness and nutrition. Fitness and nutrition can help with how your body does adapt and cope with stress and how much stress you're able to handle. However, at the end of the day, if you're feeling like overwhelmed all the time, you're probably not going to finish work and be like, all right, let's go hit that workout, or let me eat that quinoa salad or whatever it is that you're having after work. Not saying that salad's the only option, but just to kind of paint a picture for you there, right? Stress is not our friend when it comes to weight loss. So now that we kind of broke down, ground zero where you're starting out, and then kind of the final place that you want to end up, what does it take to get from point A to point B, right? And I want to highlight one last thing here. Even when you're at point B, it's not like when you hit this, you're going to be, boom, lose all of the weight right away, right? Again, it still takes that time. Weight loss is basically, if I were to summarize weight loss like into as simple of a way as I can, you've all heard eat less and move more. But basically have a solid plan, be consistent, and give it time, right? Those are the three things: plan, time, or consistency and time. Plan, consistency, and time, that's gonna get you to your goal. A lot of people, they're like doing amazing. However, if you don't give it that time, again, it's not gonna happen, right? So be patient. If you're not seeing results 2 to 4 weeks, give it a couple more weeks. If it's like moving towards that 4 to 8 week range, it's probably time to switch things up just a little bit, okay? All right, so now we're gonna dive into fitness. How are you gonna get from point A to point B when it comes to fitness? How are you gonna go about doing that? So very first thing is start out with something fun or easy, right? What does that mean? Now, when it comes to easy, what I mean is, for example, instead of saying, hey, I really wanna lose weight, I'm gonna show up to the gym 5 days a week and do this like crazy strength training workout that I found online. That's great. I'm not saying don't do that. However, what happens inside of our mind when we see, oh, wait a second, we're doing a 60-minute workout 5 days a week, that's what? Committing 5 hours. Not only that, we're also committing travel time, prep time. Coming from zero, that's a lot to take on, right? That's almost like taking on an extra job. No, it's not, but it is taking on a lot of extra responsibility, and your body and your mind is going to respond to that. Instead of trying to take on everything all at once, instead of trying to go from here to here in one jump, take it step by step. Tell yourself, hey, for this next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm gonna go out and walk every single day. 5 minutes, that's all it's gonna take, right? However, the first thing you wanna do is build up the consistency. So you see the second point here, after you find something fun and easy for you to take part in, you wanna build consistency, because consistency is basically the foundation that you're gonna apply everything on top of. If you don't have consistency, no program, no plan, no strategy, no routine's gonna fix your problems, right? You gotta actually show up and do it, right? So you wanna start out, again, by finding something that's easy or fun. When it comes to fun, let's jump back to easy real quick here. So I was listening to this doctor talk on a podcast, and he was basically like, he had a patient come in one day, and the patient, was a little depressed, his energy levels were a little low, starting to gain a little extra weight that he did not want, right? So the doctor's looking at this patient, it's like, okay, we need to get you started on some sort of exercise. What will it be? And the patient's like, you know what? I used to do strength training in high school, and I really enjoyed that. But, in the past couple of years, I haven't really found the time to do so. So the doctor's like, cool, strength training, sounds good. Let's get you back on the wagon there. Do you think you can manage 45 minutes 3 times a week? And the patient's like, oh, that's no problem, doc. Let's get that started. So the doctor's like, okay, cool. They scheduled him for 4 weeks later, just a return visit, checkup appointment there, and the doctor sent the patient on his way. 4 weeks later, patient comes back in, the doctor's like, hey, how are you doing? How's that workout program going? How are you feeling? And the patient's like, work's been super busy, this, that. I haven't really been able to get to the program yet. I haven't really started out. And the doctor's like, well, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna go about, getting this guy started, because if he's not gonna do the program, he's not gonna see the results, right? So the doctor's like, how about this? Let me show you a 5-minute routine that you can do from home, you can do anywhere. Let's do that right here. Is that okay with you? And the patient's like, okay, yeah, let's try it out. So the doctor goes through this 5-minute routine with him, and then afterwards he's like, hey, so what I want you to do this time around, you're gonna go home, you're gonna do this 5-minute routine. It just takes 5 minutes, that's all, 5 minutes. Twice a week, that's it, that's all I'm asking for. Is that okay? And the patient's like, oh, 10 minutes a week? Are you serious? Like, no problem. Are you serious, doc? And the doctor's like, yeah, trust me, try it out, give it a shot, let's see what happens. Okay, so 4 weeks later, the patient comes back in and he's like, hey doc, guess what? I've been doing that routine for 10 minutes a day, every single day before I have dinner. So what was the point of that story? The point of the story was that, by kind of lowering that threshold, lowering the difficulty, at least the perceived difficulty in our minds, makes it a lot easier for us to get started and build that consistency, And once we have that consistency going, it is so easy to continue and get better and improve and just keep on building on top of that. However, if we don't lay the foundation there, don't build a consistency, we're never going to be able to level up to the next couple of levels there, okay? So that's kind of what it means to start with something easy when it comes to exercise, your workouts, any sort of physical activity. I would really recommend you just go out, walk for 5 minutes a day, make the decision, put it into your calendar. Is it going to be in the morning, before work, after work, on your lunch break, in the afternoon, whatever it is, decide, show up, stay consistent, and track it. Okay, write it down, track it on a piece of paper, calendar, whatever it is. Now, when it comes to fun, this one is also incredibly important. And why is fun so important? Because, you know, I really like listening to this real estate podcast called Bigger Pockets, and one of the hosts, Brandon, he talks about him talking to one of his coaches, and his coach asks him, you know, when you're doing this task, whatever it is, does it feel heavy or does it feel light? And basically, now that's not literally, okay? It's not like, is this thing really heavy or is this thing really light? It's like, do you feel excited and energized by what you're doing, or do you feel like it's just dragging you down? It's like, I do not want to do this. You know, for example, some people might hate cleaning. On the other hand, some people clean for fun. You probably know somebody who really enjoys cleaning. I gotta admit, sometimes it takes a little stress off of my shoulders to be mopping the floor sometimes, okay? Might not be the most productive thing to do, but it takes, again, some of that stress off the shoulders there. So basically, by finding something that's exciting, that feels light to you, that you can keep on doing, it makes it very, again, easy for you, not just to start, but to stick to it. This could mean, you know, playing some sort of sport or recreational activity, doing something outdoors with friends, whether this is hiking or biking or skateboarding, whatever it is to get you up and moving. And I always like to go down the direction of sports, because usually there's some type of sports, whether it's an individual sport or a team sport or just some sort of recreational activity that you can do that is going to help you get so much physical activity in, you're not even going to believe it. Okay, I was speaking with another friend of mine who's also a gym owner and a coach, and he likes to play basketball. So one day we were like, wait a second, you know, like we're on the treadmill here for like 15 minutes and it's dreadful. Like I hate it. We cannot stand it. However, when he's playing basketball, when I'm playing badminton, like we're out there nonstop playing 3, 4, 5 hours in a row. Like there's no amount of money you can give me to stay on a treadmill for 5 hours in a row. I just will not last. I can barely last 30 minutes on a treadmill. Not physically, but like mentally, I'm just gonna die of boredom, right? However, when you're out on the field and actually playing and taking part in this physical activity, it's actually a crazy good workout. And you're doing this for hours at a time, and it doesn't even feel like, you know, you're pushing yourself. Versus, again, back to that treadmill or jogging example, it's like, when is this done, right? So again, finding something fun, and this could be, you know, doing some activity with your friends. Again, having that social accountability, that peer pressure is really helpful. Again, this is positive peer pressure, right? To help keep you accountable. Playing with your kids, whatever it is, find something fun for you to do, get started in, and that way you can build that consistency from there. Now, once you build that consistency, you're kind of jumping between consistently showing up again and again and again, but also adding intensity and difficulty to it as you go. I'm gonna dial back a little bit here, and this is why sports are so great, because you can kind of look at sports like working out in the gym. You know, let's say you're on the bench press, or you're doing like a leg press, or you're doing your back weighted squats, front squats, whatever it is. But let's say you're at 100 pounds and you're like, okay, 100 pounds, and then next week you come in and it's like, oh, let's add a little more weight, 105, 110. You can literally visually see yourself progressing, leveling up, and improving. And quick side topic about motivation. A lot of people have been also telling me, you know, I have really low motivation, like I'm just not feeling it. Motivation comes with progress. So a lot of the times when you have not gotten started yet, it is hard to get yourself motivated and excited, because think about it this way. When you step on the scale and your weight hasn't changed at all for the past 3 weeks, and it's like, is it worth showing up to my workout today? Is it worth, you know, eating this food? Is any of this worth it? Versus like, oh, I'm 2 pounds down. Check that out. You feel excited. You're gonna show up to your workout. You're gonna keep eating, well. You're gonna make sure you get to sleep on time. You're gonna try to keep your stress levels low, and all of the things that it takes to keep on making forward progress, right? So when it comes to, pushing intensity and difficulty, it's always helpful to do so in a way where you can visualize it. And in sports, or whether it's weightlifting or things like CrossFit and things of that nature, when you can visually see like, oh, I'm improving, I'm getting better, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting faster, calculate your run times, try to bring that, if you're going for like one big loop, I like to go around this, I think it's like around a 3-mile loop, and it takes me like 25-30 minutes each time. However, when you can see that time, you always want to try to get that time down a little at a time and get faster and faster and faster, right? And having that that scorecard in your mind is gonna help keep you motivated along the way. However, again, when it comes to fitness, as you're getting over to this area over here, basically you're just jumping between consistency and then adding intensity and difficulty. So sometimes you're gonna add intensity and difficulty, you're gonna make it a little harder for yourself. You're gonna either do it for a little longer, lift a little heavier, try a little faster. You're gonna get thrown off track sometimes. You're gonna be like, this is rough, maybe I injured my shoulder a little bit, my knee hurts a little bit, I'm super sore, like I don't wanna show up tomorrow, and you might fall off the wagon a little bit. When that happens, first of all, dial it back, right? Dial it back to where you're a little more comfortable, build up that consistency, and then try again, right? We all fall off the wagon, it happens. I've been exercising for over 10 years, and there are still times, for example, when I was building this gym and everything, there was a lot of physical labor, the flooring itself was 7,000 pounds-ish. So after, doing physical labor all day, I was like, I do not want to show up for my workouts. Although I probably got enough exercise in through that already. However, there are days where you're going to feel like you just don't want to show up, and that's okay. Drop it down a little bit and then build yourself back up from there. Again, that's why consistency is so important. We have something to fall back on. You had a super rough day at work, that's okay. Don't go for your workout. Go outside, walk for 10 minutes, call it a day. Okay. Now we're gonna move on to nutrition. Now when it comes to nutrition, I think that a lot of people have a lot of things in their mind that are kind of like negative perspectives about nutrition. And I want you to look at nutrition from a point of view where it's fun, it's exciting, and it's something that you can really enjoy while you're at it, right? It doesn't have to be eating salad all day. Good nutrition doesn't mean not eating any ice cream. Remember, 85 to 90% of the time, we're allowing ourselves room to enjoy ourselves still. So, first of all, change your environment. If you're eating a lot of junk food, generally the foods you're eating are not, maybe you're eating a lot of fast food, you don't know what better to eat when you're out for lunch, grabbing a quick bite from work, whatever it is, you gotta change your environment. So let's start from home, right? If you eat a lot of junk food, you're snacking on a lot of things, do not let those things sit around the house, okay? Because it makes it too easy for you to get up and say like, oh, I'm kind of hungry, I want a quick snack, and grab a bag of chips, sit down, and next thing you know, you just finished a family-sized bag of chips. I've been there 100 times. You might have as well. Get it out of sight, out of mind, right? And I always go back to my cookie story where I used to go to the grocery store, grab a box of cookies every time I go, and leave it on my desk as I work. What was the problem with that? As I worked, I would grab a cookie to reward myself, and then 2, and 3, and 4, and by the end of the day, sometimes I would finish a whole 4,000 calorie box of cookies by myself. And that's obviously a problem, right? You don't need an extra 4,000 calories in cookies, because then you skip your dinner and you still have 4,000 extra calories. So the simple solution in that scenario was literally just get the cookies out of there. If they're not in front of me, I didn't have the urge to go eat them. And sometimes I would want a cookie and I would go buy one cookie, not a whole box of cookies, right? Again, it's okay to treat yourself, but don't end up letting it get out of hand where you can't stop eating those things, and it's just kind of sabotaging your weight loss goals, okay? Second of all, swap out one meal at a time. Now, when it comes to nutrition, I tend not to like it when people swap out like their breakfast, lunch, and dinner and every little thing they eat all at once, because our body, our minds don't like change. Change is not comfortable. Nobody wants to change. We want to lose weight, however, we don't want to do the things that, are going to get us to that weight loss goals, right? Let's be honest. No, not that many of us like to exercise. So that there's kind of a mental reframe that you need to see, like, okay, exercise is good because it helps me feel energized, awake, and alert throughout the day. Same thing with eating proper foods, right? So instead of letting yourself become overwhelmed, try consuming one meal at a time. Did I say one meal at a time? Of course we're eating one meal at a time. Swap out one meal at a time. Start out with your breakfast. Figure out what's a healthy recipe for breakfast and stick to it. Give it a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. See how you're reacting, how you're adjusting. If you hate it, stop eating it. You don't need to eat foods that you hate. There's plenty of healthy foods out there that taste amazing. And if you don't like eating oatmeal, don't eat oatmeal, right? Simple things that I eat for breakfast: oatmeal. Yeah, I actually like oatmeal, so I'm that weird guy out there. But sometimes I'm using like chicken broth, adding some, not chocolate powder with the chicken broth, but I'll add some like cocoa powder with some almond milk. Just, have a little fun with it, mix it up. I think a lot of people kind of write off oatmeal because of the way that they make it, not so much for the oatmeal itself. Or like I'll have a smoothie. I usually throw in like some salad mix, a berry mix, chia seeds, nuts, some protein powder, and I'll mix it up, add some ginger or goji berries or this and that. But again, have fun with it. Eat foods that you enjoy. So that goes to this next section. Test different foods out. If you are eating something for a diet or whatever it is, and again, it tastes terrible, then stop, because you're almost like forcing yourself into this like mental state where it's like, I have to do things that I don't enjoy in order to lose weight, which is not true. You can eat food that you enjoy. Now, you're probably not going to be eating a bunch of cheeseburgers and losing weight, although I wish that were true. I love cheeseburgers. However, try different cuisines out. Try, the foods of different cultures or ethnicities. I don't know what's the proper word for that, but basically eat different types of food. And, for example, I enjoy eating Mexican foods and Mediterranean foods, so I will try to adapt the foods that I eat on a regular basis to the type of foods that I actually enjoy. So it's actually like, hey, this is healthy, but I really like it a lot. It's really tasty and I feel good afterwards. So again, first of all, change your environment, get yourself out of the zone. Environment can deal with people as well. If you're hanging out with people that are showing up to the bar, obviously not that many people are going to the bar right now, but if you're out at the bar or out at happy hour every single night, you're probably gonna have a really hard time trying to lose weight, right? Not saying that that's not okay. We have room for that, right? 85 to 90% there. However, it's what you do most of the time that gets you your results. And that could be for good or for bad, right? When your diet is not that great for most of the time, you're gonna start gaining weight. You're gonna start having health issues. You're gonna start feeling terrible. You reverse that and change what you're doing the most of the time to you're eating healthy, you're gonna start feeling good, you're gonna start losing weight, and your health is going to improve. Simple, okay? But basically, once you got your environment fixed up there, you're just trying to swap out one meal at a time. Start with breakfast, test different foods out until you find something that's like, oh, this is great. I can eat this very often. Or if you're like me and you can eat the same thing every single day, then you're really lucky. It makes it really easy to meal prep and things of that sort. And then basically just bounce between swapping out one meal at a time and trying different foods so that you can learn what you actually enjoy, right? If you don't like it, again, skip it. It's okay. Find something different. So that's nutrition. Now let's jump on over to lifestyle, right? And we talked about making sure you get enough sleep, you're well hydrated throughout the day, and you keep your stress levels low. Now that's relatively straightforward, I think, but I want to emphasize the reason why these three things are really important, because these things can kind of get in the way of everything else if they're not well addressed. For example, you don't get enough sleep, you're gonna feel a little more stressed out and irritated throughout the day. You feel a little more stressed out or irritated throughout the day, you're gonna react in turn because of that. And something might come up at work, something might come up in your relationship, whatever it is that triggers you, and basically now it's like you have a rough day, you don't want to show up to your workouts, you rather go out and grab something that you enjoy eating for lunch, whether that's fast food or junk food, and you don't want to stick to the plan. You're like, hey, I've had a rough day, I just need a break, right? Which is okay. If you need a break, sometimes you really actually need that break, you should take that break. However, if you're feeling stressed out over and over again and you see almost this like recurring like cycle, then you have to have the awareness to understand, oh wait, I'm feeling really stressed out, and figure out, what is this coming from? Is it my job? Is it my relationships? And figure out those underlying root causes. I always talk about these root causes when it comes to stress and weight loss, because if you don't address those root causes first, again, none of this will matter, because you're going to try to do this and you're going to fall off the wagon every single time, because that root cause is going to take over and basically knock you off track every single time. I see it happen again and again. I literally see this happen in some people for like years and years and years on end, just nonstop. And it's like, if you just fix this simple solution, like the root cause that, fix the issues with the foundation there, you'd be at your goal like 2 years ago, right? So have the awareness, understand where it's coming from, and then try to figure out how you're gonna go about and fix it. And I'm not a life coach or anything here, or a therapist for that matter. So if you do have problems in your life and your relationships that you do need to resolve, get those resolved. You can start working on maybe like the foundations of this, showing up 5 minutes a day, going on your walk, light exercise, changing your environment, the foods that you're eating. However, make sure that root cause, those root problems, the stress gets removed before you progress, okay? And then the second part is really just building systems. I think a lot of stress in our lives comes from, not having systems. For example, you might know that you need to get 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep at night. However, you're gonna lay down with your phone and all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning and it's like, you're still watching YouTube or scrolling through your Instagram feed, right? Been there. What a system is basically like you setting your alarm clock in the morning to make sure that you wake up on time so that you're not late to work. But however, we can apply these systems to other areas of our life to basically try to force out the results that we're trying to go after. For example, what I like to do, if I know that I need to get, for me, I need roughly around 8 hours, at the very least 7.5 hours per night to feel like 100% like fully rested, I'm good to go, awake, alert, and energized throughout the day. So I usually will set myself to wake up at 5:30, at 6, depending on the time and what my schedule looks like, in that current phase of my life. But then I'll set actually a timer that's about an hour to 90 minutes prior to when I should be asleep, so that I know, okay, when that timer goes off, that alarm goes off, boom, here's my checklist, get ready for bed, get my clothes prepped for my morning run tomorrow morning, and get whatever else, my alarm set up, those things ready, so that when the time comes, I can hop into bed and knock out. This might also include, hey, if you know that you're gonna be stuck on your phone for 3 hours at night, don't leave your phone next to your bed. Or I always talk about systems, and this could honestly apply to any of these things. For example, when you want to change your environment, if you're eating out a lot and you always end up eating fast food because you can't decide like what else that you are able to eat and it's actually good for you, then take 20 minutes or just 10 minutes of your time beforehand and do some research. Say, hey, I work over here, I'm pretending this is like Google Maps right now. I work over here. Here are all the restaurants that I can go to, and make a little list. Add the links or whatever, pull it up on your notepad on your phone, or you write it out, so that when the time comes, you can say, hey, I need to decide what to eat, and I need something healthy so that it can keep on contributing again to me getting my goals and falling within this category over here. At the same time, I need something that's kind of quick to go. And then you can just pull that up so you don't have to make that decision on the spot. You kind of made it in advance already. It's good to go, you're ready. And that's what I kind of mean when it comes to systems. I highly, highly encourage you to basically break every one of these points down. I know it's a lot. Again, one step at a time. This is supposed to be like a full step-by-step guide for you all here. I feel like I've been talking for a while, but basically each of these things you want to break down into a system. For example, I know I need to get this many strength training workouts in per week. I can probably get in about 1 or 2 by myself all alone. And if I want to get in extra ones, I know I have to find partners or friends or just groups in order for me to kind of keep myself accountable as well and show up and get those things done. So I'll kind of add those into my schedule throughout the week, so that I can hit my own threshold here. Or for example, finding alternative activities, whether this is finding like a running partner to go out run before work, after work, or finding like a sport. I play badminton and say like, you know, everyone's gonna show up every Thursday or whatever day it is. It's like, okay, after work, we're gonna head over there. We're gonna get a couple games in. Boom, 3 hours of cardio, 4 hours of cardio, good to go. But have those systems ready and break each of these things down and try to figure out, this is a process, okay? So don't expect to get it perfect right away. Break each one of these things down and figure out, okay, what is easy or fun for me? Maybe you're gonna have to try a few things out. Actually, more often than not, you will have to try a couple things out before you figure out what is right for you. And you know, that's part of the journey, that's part of the experience. Don't let it get you down if you don't figure it out right away, right? This is a process, enjoy it as you go. I always like to make this example, last example, and I will let you go, okay? Thank you for watching this far, by the way. Weight loss is kind of like driving, in the sense that, you know, when you are rushed when you're driving, whether you're late for work or whatever it is, how do you feel? You feel stressed out, anxious, you're probably driving a little too fast, and you know that's a higher risk of you crashing or getting into some sort of accident or danger, right? Increased risk right there, right? However, let's say you're on a road trip or a vacation, you have a loose itinerary, but no really like firm times that you have to show up to anywhere. You're probably driving around, enjoying the scenery as you go, just enjoying the process in itself. And I want you to try and enjoy the process as you get through this, and not so much be so focused on, okay, I have to hit this number, that you end up feeling stressed out, anxious, and it's just so much pent up negative energy that it ends up derailing you or throwing you off track and just makes it a miserable, like, does it really matter if you hit your goals if you spent, you know, 5 years of your life just feeling absolutely miserable on the way? You know, what happens if you just took an extra year or two? Like, that's a lot of time, yeah, but you enjoyed the process as you went along. You didn't have to feel so stressed out. You didn't have to feel that anxiety. You just felt good and happy and just enjoyed things on the way, right? Wouldn't that be great? I think so. So again, thank you for watching. If you have any comments, go ahead, drop them in the comments below. Any questions that you have, there's probably some link down there where you can find me or connect with me. I'm happy to answer any questions and go into a little more detail here. And that way I can also make more videos educating more of you out there on how to stay fit, how to lose weight, and live a healthy lifestyle. So again, thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next video.